Hello, hello, everyone. Thanks for dropping in. We're here with positive vibes with Aeriol, healing body, mind, and soul. And my fabulous guest and new fast friend, Kim-Adele Platts, with the hyphen after the Kim and before the Adele, as opposed to any other way that you might want to do it. I am so excited to open up a conversation with Kim-Adele about leadership and what it takes to put yourself out there, the courage that it takes to put yourself out there, to be a speaker and to be in the limelight and to be that bird at the top of, at the apex of the pack. So, Kim, thanks for being with us today.
Oh, bless you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so thrilled to be chatting to you. And I already feel like we're firm friends and we've known each other all of about 5 minutes.
Like 5 seconds. I saw Kim on the speaker talent search and I loved her energy. And I know that even as we're just starting here, the audience is going to really love Kim's energy and sense of humor about things. So, Kim, tell us a little bit about the work you do and what you're up to in the world.
I speak about leadership and how to lead with empathy, kindness, and courage, because we very often will do one or two of those, but probably not all. And often people think that if you're empathetic, you're not courageous. And it's not about not making difficult commercial decisions, but it's doing them with humanity and empathy. Um, I've got a real passion for that. I've got a real passion for making sure that we remember that every one of us is a human being. So even as a leader, I'm a human being. So, you cut me, I bleed. I cut you, you'd bleed. Please, I'm not going to cut anybody. But it's getting into that place where it's going, well, actually, at our base, we're just people. And when we recognize that first and go that at our simplest, every human being on the planet, I believe, wants to be listened to, they want to be understood, and they want to be respected. And it's our job to give them that. That doesn't mean to say we never disagree, but we don't disrespect. So you seek to understand their point of view and you use that to open your mind to say, is there something I can learn from this? And I think once you can get yourself in that space, the world just becomes, it becomes your library. Every day is like an opportunity to read a new book and to get involved in a new story, because every person you meet has got a story to tell you.
I love that. And I love when I was reading the notes when I was preparing for our interview today, what you said about listening, right? God gave us
Yeah.
two ears, one mouth, like use them accordingly.
Absolutely. So one of the things that I think is one of the worst skills that we've forgotten is we no longer listen to really understand. We listen at best to interject. So we listen to go, oh, I've got a point, I'm going to put that in. And we don't always mean to do that to be disrespectful. Sometimes we're just desperately trying to demonstrate we're listening. So we want to build on the point. But what we don't do is get comfortable with the silence. So the reason why we're thinking what we're going to say next is because we know at the minute the other person stops speaking, there'll be an awkward silence if I've not got something ready to say. But once you get comfortable with the silence and go, silence is just valuable thinking time, it's a real demonstration of respect. So let it rest there and then say what you've got to say. I mean, clearly don't let it rest for too long because then it will get awkward. But it's okay if there's a momentary gap, where you just reflect on it and go, wow, I'd not thought of that. And it's making me think. You can use those transitioning statements to allow the person to know you are listening whilst giving yourself an opportunity to think about what it is you want to say in response to it. And I guess for me, it's, I've had a 30-year career in corporate life following starting off as a hairdresser. And I was convinced that my Achilles heel was the fact that I was an ex-hairdresser and that someday they were going to turn around and go, oh my goodness, we put the hairdresser on the board. That's a bit awkward, get her off. And they kind of never did. And I still work with boards today. But I realise now what I learned as a hairdresser has been my number one leadership skill. And that was to listen to what the person really wanted, what was their aspiration, and then to do my best to make it happen for them and to let them leave the salon feeling the best version of themselves. Well, that's leadership. To take what the person's aspiration is, to help them to get there and to turn them into the best version of themselves. And it was like, why did it take me 20 odd years to work that out? But I'd been very fortunate. I clearly, on subconscious level, had worked it out because I kept winning awards for leadership. And they were like, well, it's all right for you. You find people dead easy. And I went, but they're people. Like, if you say hello to somebody and they don't say hello back, that says more about them than you. So just don't get embarrassed about it. And if they didn't say hello back to me, that I'm not going to get embarrassed, because that doesn't mean to say they dissed me. They might not even heard me, or more often than not, they didn't expect me to talk to them because of my title. And I see that a lot. I've been into lots of organizations and you chat to people and they're like, oh, you mean me? I didn't think you could talk to me. And I was like, why? That's ridiculous. I'm the same as everybody. I'm the same as everybody else. But I think it's kind of helping people to realize that if we can learn to share our vulnerability without losing our credibility, what we do is we create a connection. We allow people to go, do you know what? It's okay to not get everything right. And I spent years striving for perfection. And then I found this amazing quote and I love it. And I now live my life by it, which is, we are all perfectly imperfect. So our imperfection is in of itself the perfection. And it's like, brilliant. So what I want you to do is bring your imperfect and share it with the world, because that is your perfect.
Was that awkward?
No.
I was waiting for her to stop. I'm like, I wanted to see how long was awkward. Oh, good. So now I know. Just checking out my new skills. Just checking out my new skills and seeing how I'm doing. I love that, Kim, Adele. I love that. I love that you were a hairdresser. I can't think of a better profession, except I started out as a massage therapist
I
myself.
love it.
Right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
really, like, not even just trying to get the look right, but does this feel like, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
where's the tension? Like, where can we be of service, right? So
Yeah.
I love that. And you learn business skills being a hairdresser, and you know everyone, right? I can't think. I
Yeah.
think my hairdresser, she knows everyone in the neighborhood, and maybe
Oh,
probably the whole, like, the whole city, not just the neighborhood. She's very well
they
connected. So
they do, and it's really funny. I for years said I had hairdresser face because people will literally tell me anything, anything. Sometimes you're like, don't tell me that. I don't need to like, please stop. But they do. I remember one particular a story. I was about to go on a flight. I was working for one of the big banks, and I was going to go on with one of the really senior C-suite directors. I'd just made my first director role, and I was going to have to be on the flight with him. And he was a lovely guy, but it was terrifying. He knew every number inside out, upside down, back to front. And I knew I'd got to get on this hour-long flight with him. So I'd memorized everything. I had prepped and prepped and prepped because
for a flight,
nobody,
you
but
prepped
for a
for a
flight,
flight.
because I didn't want to, because I was convinced, I was suffering really badly at the time with imposter syndrome. I thought they'll realize they put the hairdresser in this role and she shouldn't be there. So I'm going to make sure that I know everything, anything could possibly ask me. Anyway, we sat down on this flight, we had a bit of a chat. And all of a sudden he started to tell me about him and his life. He told me about his family, his brother, unfortunately, the breakup of his marriage. Really told me loads of stuff. Genuinely lovely guy. We were just chatting. And in my most socially inept moment, we got to the end of him telling me his conversation, and he went, I'm really sorry, what about you? And I started spouting stats at him. I was like, I went, oh, I'm so sorry. I was like, I'm so sorry.
35% of people, because you had all your memorization was all
I was
corked
like,
up.
well, just to let you know, this is how we're doing in mortgages this week. And I said to him, I'm so sorry, that was socially inept. I said, everybody told me that you will only talk business and you'll only talk stats. I said, so I think I was so taken aback that I didn't quite know what to say. And he just laughed and he went, I don't know why I told you all that. He said, I never tell anybody all of that. It's fine. It's hairdresser face. It's what starts on the plane stays on the plane. It's absolutely fine. And 15 years later, we're still great friends. And he still laughs and says, I don't understand what made me tell you. And I was like, trust me, I just have that face. Just have that. They say in London, nobody talks to you on the tube. I guarantee people talk to me all of the time.
KimAdele, we must be related because I swear to God, I have done a lot of. I am like you, and no matter what I do, people unfold to me. Right?
Yeah.
They just come up to you like I don't know what it is. I've never heard it called hairdresser face, but I love this term. I'll start looking into that. I'll start thinking about that. I used to. But wherever you are, you draw people, and your energy is so nice. But I imagine that people do talk to you on the tube. So obviously,
Yeah.
you're in. Are you still? Where are you at, KimAdele?
So I now live in Grantham, which is in Lincolnshire, so in the middle of England. But I'm an hour from London, so I've got the joy of being an hour and you're in the centre of London on the train, or where I am is out in the Vale of Belvoir, so beautiful rolling hills and things. So real balance. It's
Oh,
stunning.
oh, how beautiful! How beautiful! It's been years since I've been to London, but I lived in Ireland for a little while. I lived in
Oh, beautiful.
Dublin. I lived in
Yeah,
Dublin
yeah.
for a little while over that area, and my girlfriend and I traveled in London. And our favorite phrase was "We love the shoes." Like
Oh,
that was our takeaway from London. The shoes were
they
fabulous.
they do have immense shoes. I blame London for my shoe habit.
It's all good. It's all good. We've got
Uh-huh.
hairdresser face here, so
Hairdresser face and shoe habit, which I've already passed on to my little girl, and she's not even 5 yet. But you regularly see her trotting around my bedroom, teetering in 4-inch heels, going, "Mummy, what do you think?" And I'm like, "Oh, you're gonna fall over and break your neck," is what I think. But I'm like, "No, you're doing really well, lovely. Maybe keep your hand on the bed." That's we're doing that.
Bless her heart. Sounds so cute. I'm glad you're rearing up little leaders who are walking tall, KimAdele.
Oh, she is going to take over the world. I know I am a biased mum like we all are, but she's sassy, classy, and just a little badassy, which is exactly what we want from people, is to say, actually, own your uniqueness. But she's also, I had a first ever parents' evening last night, and they were like, she is really confident. She's really articulate. She knows her stuff, but she's the kindest little girl. The minute anybody is in trouble, she rushes over to help them. She's always the first to share her things, to share her sweets, or what have you. And I was like, do you know what? I'll take that. That is exactly what I'm looking for. Someone who's got confidence, someone who's not afraid to be themselves, but recognizes that we are here to be kind to ourselves, but equally to be kind to others, because that's when we're going to make an impact.
I love that high degree of empathy, right? And that
Yeah, yeah.
little spitfire
Yeah.
courage, little sass in there. We love
Yeah.
it. That's I love that confidence. Awesome. So, KimAdele, when people come see you, or when clients are wondering what they can do to be better leaders or just more efficient in their life, whatever they're wanting, what is a quick tip that you can give them?
So my really quick tip is to think for, just take a moment, because what happens is whatever's happening in our world, we don't respond to what's happening, we respond to what we've made it mean. So we deal with the emotion, and then we're out of control, because we're in an emotional state. Whoever else we're dealing with will be in an emotional state. So if you can, you take yourself back a moment and go, okay, let me look at which bit of this is fact and which piece of it is opinion. So, if I go, that person was really, so I talk about myself a lot, like, I'm a bit flighty and stupid. Flighty and stupid are opinions, they're not facts. So the fact is, I've lived in 36 houses, which is what drove me to the opinion that I'm flighty and a little bit stupid.
Understandable.
Yeah. So when you pull it back to the fact is I lived in 36 houses. That's what we should respond to. The opinion is what we've turned it into. We think this person can't be stable, they can't stay in one place, but we don't know the story. So very often and we do this to ourselves, is we're dealing with a story we've created for ourselves rather than the facts. Because one of the challenges is the human brain doesn't like absence. So in the absence of a fact, it creates a story. And the stories are always more fascinating than
Sure
what
they
actually
are.
happened. So I always say to clients when they're getting heated up in the moment, is that just take a second, take yourself away from the situation. So I'm just going to nip and get a coffee, and then we'll discuss this, and have that moment to go. Which bit of this is fact, and which bit of it is emotion? Because if it's the emotion piece, it calls on something that we create, that I call them my I am statements. And we create these I am statements by the age of 7. We enforce them by the age of 14, and we've pretty much embedded them by the age of 21. So they're ours. Mine was, I'm not good enough, and I'm unlovable, and I'm always alone. So whatever happened in my world, as long as one of those 3 played out, if anything went wrong, it was okay because I wasn't good enough. Or if ever a relationship ended, it was okay because I wasn't lovable. I expected that, it was all right. But I then realized, having my little girl, that the voice we talk to ourselves becomes the voice we teach our children to talk to themselves. And I don't want her thinking she's alone, she's unlovable, and she's not good enough. So I was like, right, I'm going to need to change those labels. So I had to go and work out, where did they come from, and then start to chip away at them. And you can do it yourself. So it's 3 really, really easy steps, which is, the minute you're telling yourself something that you can't do, or that you're not good enough, or whatever it is that you do to self-sabotage, because we all have a little bit of that in us, acknowledge it first. Go, thank you for that. Good to know that I can get it wrong. And then you have to ask yourself out loud, are there any occasions when I get it right? Because your subconscious brain is the happiest little helper you will ever have in your life. But it has one flaw. It doesn't understand the difference between helping or harming. So whatever you ask it, it thinks you want. So if you say, I can't do this, it goes into the library of your brain and it brings back every time you got it wrong. If you say, can I do this? It goes back into the library of your brain and it brings back every time you got it right. So you change your fact base, because you can now go, okay, I can get it wrong, but I can get it right. And for me, this third one is my motto in life. So I believe that my little girl can do, as long as she's kind and she tries hard, there's nothing in the world she can't do. So the third thing I say to myself is, if this were Scarlett, what advice would I give her? And then I have to take it, because if not, I'm a hypocrite. I can't give her the advice and not take it for myself. So that's what got me on the global speaker talent. That pushed me to get out of my front room and go, actually, maybe you need to go and share this message. Maybe you need to stand up there and say, it's okay to be nervous. I remember doing a big face-to-face public speak before we went into lockdown, and I've done a few of them. I've flown around the world doing it now, but I remember standing there looking at the audience thinking, why did I look at the audience? Because now I'm terrified. They're standing room only, there's people started looking at me, and I panicked, and so I said to the audience, do you know what? Every fibre of my body is telling me to get off this stage and run as fast as I can. And I can't do it for 2 very good reasons. I don't think I could run very fast in these shoes. And the second is, I'd never come back from it. My name and my picture is plastered all over this brochure. So you would know that Kim-Adele Platts is the lady that ran away. So I can't do it. But what I can do is give myself permission to share with you it's how I'm feeling, and hope that in doing so, the little voice will shut up long enough that I can remember what I'm here to talk to you about. And then I did my speech, and the people queued
They
at the end to
loved
come.
you. Oh my
Yeah.
God, they loved you at that moment. I have taught public speaking for
Yeah,
almost my entire adult life, and right there
I
you
love
had
it.
them eating out of the palm of your hands,
So,
whether you knew it or not. But
yeah,
I mean, it's really true because you were vulnerable with them. But what I love about you, Kim Adele, is how is how clear you're able to say to say what you're feeling, because a lot of people, they get they get all they put the emotion first, like you just described to us. They put the
Yeah.
emotion first, right, instead of being behind in the driver's seat and just looking at the emotion for what it is. I
Yeah,
don't know
and
if that
that's, I
made
mean,
sense.
no, it made total sense, and it's something I had to learn. My ex-husband used to say to me, "He's like, you're such a robot. Your ability to compartmentalize, to put things in one box and in another." And I was like, "Really? You want to have this debate right?" Because
Which
he'd,
sort of proves the point, right?
yeah. I was like, right now it's really working for you, because my marriage had just broken down. He'd just announced his affair. I was just facing surgery and had become an overnight 44-year-old unemployed single mum. So, life was a little bit challenging in that moment. And he then got himself in a real mess. And he'd rang me up for some help. And I said, "Of course I'll help you." This was about 4 weeks after this had all happened. And this one particular day, he rang me up and I said, "I'm really sorry. You're going to have to, you just have to give me 10 minutes. I'm going to hang up now and then I'm going to call you back." And he said, "Well, why? Why can't I talk to you now?" And I said, "Well, you've just put through my letterbox all of the evidence that you were having an affair when you told me that you weren't. So while I was doing mammograms and MRI scans, and you said it was all in my head, you've just proven to me that you did do it because you need me to help you get out of the harassment case that you've got at work. And I will help you. However, right now, I'm really finding it hard to pick a response I'm going to be proud of. And therefore, I need to hang up while I compose myself, and then I will come back to you." And he was like, "This is what I mean. You see, you're such a robot." It's like, now is not the time for this conversation. I said, "For me, the point I need to, if I pick a response that I'm not proud of, I have to apologize." I said, "And apologizing to you after everything you've done hurts. So I would much rather not make a choice to have a response that I'm not proud of. So I'll take myself away from the situation, and I will compose myself and come back, because you can't, whenever you do, and we do sometimes all respond in anger, we do, is you then do have to go back and make good. I did respond in anger on something, and the day I worked it through my head, but actually I shouldn't have behaved in the way that I did. I shouldn't have shouted. I shouldn't have been negative. It came to me on Mothering Sunday, the first year we'd separated, and my first Mothering Sunday. And my mum was like, "Please don't apologise today. Of all the days, not today." And I went, but mum, I have to, because today's the day I realise I'm in the wrong. So I've got to do it now, because if not, I've got to live with it a day longer. But I now know that I was wrong. Whereas before I was living with it because I hadn't understood I was wrong. And I'm sure we'll all have had that. It took me a lot of years getting a lot of things wrong to realize that the best way to rip off a plaster is fast. Because if not, we think about these conversations, we dread them, we worry about them, we carry around all that negative energy, and then we go and tell the person that we're sorry, and it never goes as badly as we thought it did. It's never as awful as the 4 or 5 days or the 4 or 5 weeks worth of negative energy that we've carried around with us, building it up. So you're just like, why not just let it go? Get it out. Say we are perfectly imperfect. I got it wrong. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. And I wish I could take back any inconvenience, any hurt, any frustration. And I know that, he still finds that very hard to hear. When he's like, "I don't understand what you think you've got to apologize for." I went, "I have to apologize for my behavior. Whatever my behavior is about my moral code, and it's about my values. So I'm not going to pass judgment on anybody else's. I'm just going to say I was misaligned to me, and that misaligns my energy. So I need to take accountability for that, even if it hurts." And I'm doing my best to teach my little girl that, do you know what? We're all learning. Every one of us in the world is learning. We all make mistakes every day. My nan used to say, every day's a school day. And God bless her, she's right. Because every day we have an opportunity to learn. And my granddad used to say, live each day as if it's your last, and one day you'll be right. So I'm doing my best to live my life between their two favourite sayings.
I love that. Kim-Adele, you are delightful. I
Bless you.
really, really appreciate you being here. You are the perfect trifecta of courage, articulation, and integrity.
Oh,
Honestly. Honestly.
bless you.
I love from the bottom of my heart, honestly. I like what you're putting out here, sister. Sing it, sister.
Oh,
We got I really I really love your clarity and your articulation, and I'm sure the audience is in love with you. They want to tell you their whole story. If they
I'd
want to do
love
that,
to hear it.
I know, so do I. I think you're like I am. It's like it's the hairdresser face thing or
It
whatever.
is. I love hearing people's stories because I think, for me, one of the things that it's always struck me, as society, we're desperate for diversity and inclusion. And yet, despite that, we've got millennia of conflict and frustration. And yet, the one thing that combines us all, irrelevant of our age, our race, our gender, our culture, our religion, anything, is we all teach and we all learn in stories. And every one of us has got a story. So it's like, if we just learn to listen to each other's story, not to pass judgment on them, just to listen to the story, then we're going to get rid of the miscommunication, misinformation, and misunderstanding that creates the conflict in the first place. And isn't it just a beautiful life to think every day I get to gather another story? What an epic way of living. I feel both privileged and unfairly blessed to be able to do so.
Not unfairly. I'm sure it's all very well deserved. Kim-Adele, thank you so much. Would you tell our audience how they can reach out to you if they would like to have a great conversation and spill the beans on their story
Oh, of
with you?
course. So please either get in touch directly at kim@kimadele.org, or you can check out our newsletter at kimadele.org, or I'm on most social media as KimAdele10, and I would love to hear from you.
Awesome. Kim-Adele, thank you so much for coming today. I just feel such a kinship with you. I love your energy, and I really mean just the perfect trifecta of vision, voice, and intention. Really great. Thank you for your
Oh, bless you.
clarity, and thank you for shining your light in the world. We want to see more of you, and keep doing the speaker talent search. We want to see more of you, and we'd love to have you back in the new year. So make sure you
Oh,
come
wow.
back and join us in the new
Yeah.
year, okay? Because we want to
Oh,
hear
I
more
would love
from you.
to.
All
I would love
right.
to. And thank you so much for your kindness and having me here. I appreciate it.
All right, everybody. That's going to wrap it up for today. This is Positive Vibes with Aeriol, healing body, mind, and soul. Until next time, happy healing.